Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Lilydale Radio. This is Embracing Your Essence on Lilydale Radio. As you start joining me, let me know that you are here. And you can do that by giving me your name in the comments and just let me know you're watching. I love to hear where you're from. So if you would like to let me know where you're from, that would be wonderful as well. So as I said, this is Lilydale Radio. The name of the show is called Embracing Your Essence. I'm Colleen Vanderzijden, a registered medium here at Lilydale. And as a medium, we connect in with our loved ones on the other side. And I'm also a certified intuitive life coach. And as a life coach, I help people basically handle the problems they have in their lives. So if you're having a relationship issue, I might help you with some strategies to help you get your communication better, whatever you need to do. So today we are going to be talking about life's unpleasant detours. And we've all had those, haven't we? So we will be talking about that, but I'll first get to some other details. Lilydale Assembly does have a whole bunch of workshops coming up. You can find them on the Facebook page. Lilydale Assembly Incorporated is the official page. LilydaleAssembly.org is the website, but I'm not quite sure it's updated with everything yet. The workshop should be there, but I don't think everything like it prepared for the summer season or anything like that is up. So you can find a lot of that stuff on the Facebook page. My Facebook page is Colleen Vanderzijden, medium and intuitive life coach, and you haven't followed me, I would love for you to do that. I am going to talk about a special course I'm going to be offering starting January 17th. I'll talk about that in a moment, but before I get to that, I also want to talk about the Lilydale radio shows because there are several Lilydale radio shows. I hope my list is up to date, but I want to go over them because I haven't talked about them in a few weeks. So, of course, my show is on Tuesday night. On Wednesday in the morning, Willa White has a show, 10 o'clock in the morning. It's called Wednesdays with Willa at 10 o'clock, and John White has a show at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. Then I'm looking at a list because I'm afraid I'm going to leave something important out. Thursday, Celeste Elliott has her show at 10 o'clock in the morning. Wake Up to Spirit is the name of that one. Then Monday, we have Sharon Hill has Mediumship Mondays, and she gives little mini readings, and those are at noon on Monday. And then Molly Hastings is, I think, still doing a show called Ever Unfolding Joy, Monday night at 7. And then Angie Apt on Sunday is doing Spiritual Conversations at 8 p.m. Angie Apt. So I did those a little out of order, sorry. But that's how it goes. So today, like I said, we are going to be talking about life's unpleasant detours and what you can do to get your life better. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I see all sorts of people. Thank you. Ashley, Brandy. Hi, Dawn. I hope you are feeling better. Hi, Mick. Nice to see you. Hi, Jordine. And Maria, Jeremiah, Ray. Nice to see you. Hi, Mom. And Jill. And so nice to see you guys all joining me. So before I get to the topic, which I'm going to do, I do want to talk about my free course. It is literally a free course. January 17th, it is going to go live every night for 5 nights, starting January 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights. It is going to go live from my spiritual growth and support group. It is called Courageously You for Less Stress and More Joy in 2021. So I wanted to help people with some ideas, some strategies to bring more joy into their lives. And the name called Courageously You is because the more courageous you are in your power, the more joy you have. So we're going to go through some ideas, some strategies to help you step into your power so you can have more joy, especially after last year. We all need to add a little bit more joy in our lives. So I'm offering this free class. If you have not joined my spiritual growth and support group yet, it is pinned at the top of my Facebook page. Okay, my Facebook page, Colleen Vanderzijden, Medium and Intuitive Life Coach. It's pinned right there. You can request to join the group and I will approve you. And there you go. And then you can be in the class. That's all you have to do to join it. Easy, nice and simple. And of course, because it will be Facebook Live, the video will be available continuously. Okay, so that's going to be fun. So let's talk about life's unpleasant detours. It seems like, well, after last year, right, we've all had some detours. But when we think about these detours that we have, sometimes what happens is our path feels like it's blocked. We're going along and it's blocked. We can't get where we want to go. We feel like we're going in the wrong direction. And some of these twists and turns we have are really unpleasant. They bring up all sorts of feelings and feeling like we're stuck, we're disempowered, we're out of control. We can't do anything about these things. We start to think we're never going to get where we want to go. So we're going to talk about an idea to shift your perspective on this, on these unpleasant detours. And we're also going to talk about a profound truth, a simple, profound truth, that if you embrace this idea, will help you handle those unpleasant detours. And it will help you learn to trust yourself and trust the process of life as you navigate your path. So we're going to do all this tonight. So when I was growing up, and this is not mother, this has nothing to do with how you taught me as my mother, okay? This is just life stuff. So as I was growing up, and so many of us were, we learned that there was a certain way to life. If we went to school, we did our homework, we went to college or whatever it was, we got our job, we got married, we had kids, a certain order of how life worked. We did these things, it would all work out. We learned what we needed to do that was right, in quotes. And if we followed those rules and did the best we could, then life would be predictable, stable, and easy. And if we did everything the right way, all would be well. How many of us grew up with that idea? Part of it is societal, part of it is family, part of it is watching the TV shows. You know, we see these TV shows and we think, oh, well, if we just do this, everything will be perfect. And then we become an adult and we find out life doesn't work this way. It doesn't go according to plan. And I'm sure you've all experienced this. I don't know anybody who hasn't. We'll be moving forward and all of a sudden our road is blocked or there's a detour. And we start to feel like we're off track and we're definitely heading in the wrong direction. A friend of mine went back to college in her 40s. She had been a substitute teacher for years, had worked in all these school districts, had lots of connections, lots of friends. So she had worked as a substitute teacher, decided she wanted to be a certified teacher. So she went back to school, got her teaching degree, did everything she was supposed to do, got the great grades, applied for all these jobs that were available in the area, and didn't get any of them. And she was so disappointed. She kept trying, she kept looking. She stuck around for a couple years trying to get that job. And she felt like she had wasted her time and her money going back to school, of course. And it was also really quite a blow to her self-confidence. And another friend of mine was bemoaning the end of her marriage. She had done everything right. You know, she had tried hard. She'd been a good wife. She'd been supportive, kind, everything. And yet it still unraveled and she felt like a failure. Part of my plan as I was growing up was that, it sounds funny, as I was growing up as an adult, was that after I finished my master's degree, I needed to have my degree in order to continue being a teacher. So I would get my degree, I would teach for another year, I would get pregnant, and then take a short maternity leave and then go back to work. 4 years later, nope, wasn't pregnant, it wasn't working out. And I had been well taught to believe that everything I'd planned and if I did everything right, it would work, and it didn't. And then after last year, 2020, we've all experienced this, where the dissolution of most of last year's plans that just disappeared, and the continuation now, we're heading into another year, and it looks like we're still doing the same things. A lot of our plans have shifted. We can't do everything we wanted to do. And we're learning, all of us, that rarely does life go according to plan. I'm going to check the comments for 2 seconds, just see what we've got. Okay, Leanne, I know you speak the truth on this. After facing the same issue over and over and reacting the same way, I found myself reacting from a place of love and solution rather than fear when faced with it this time. Yes, what we're going to do is we are going to shift this perspective on these unpleasant detours because we can't change it. We're going along in our lives, we have these plans, and then we're off someplace else, and we think, how did I get over here? What happened? What's here? Why is this so unpleasant? We feel like we have no control, we get frustrated by how hard life can be. We did everything right, and still it's not working. And we start to feel like we've made wrong choices, like we shouldn't have done what we did, or we shouldn't have planned on this. We shouldn't have put the effort into this because now we're on the wrong path, or it's not going to work anyway. There's no point in working on it because it's not going to work anyway. So why bother? Baba Yaga. I'm feeling the same way. Bachelor's degree and no good paying job. Yes, my daughter went through the same thing for a long time. She gets her master's degree and her bachelor's degree, and then she's working a minimum wage job someplace. And so it does make us question, ourselves, and we start to not trust ourselves. We start to not trust our own path, our decisions that we've already made or where we want to go. And because they're unpleasant and they get in our way, I actually did a show once called Obstacles Are Awesome. So this kind of goes with that. So we've got these obstacles come up and then we stumble along trying to get back on track. But mostly what happens, isn't it, is that we focus on the problem more and more. And we start to look at those problems and we internalize it as somehow a measure of our worth and our value as we're going on these problems and these detours that are in our way. So what we try to do is then control them. We try to force things to happen and we focus and focus. And if any of you have read the book The Secret or have heard about the law of attraction, we've been taught in that area, not fully and completely if you ask me, but we've been taught if we think about what we want enough, it's going to come to us. And yes, there is something to be said for that, the energetic connections, and that there is no lack of abundance. Everything is there for us. And what we want really is ours. But sometimes the universe has a different plan for us. And so we have to, rather than resisting what's happening, rather than trying to force our way through, sometimes we have to figure out a different way to look at the situation, which kind of lessens some of the trauma, the weight, and the pain that these detours can sometimes bring to us. We try to make them magically disappear too. That's sometimes what we try to do. It's really interesting. We bought into this illusion that life moves in a straight line. It's not our fault. It's just that that's how I think our brain naturally made sense of things. That if we do the right things, we go forward, this, we're going to feel perfectly and everything's going to be wonderful. We think too, if our path is straight, that life will be easier. And as we all know, that is not true. So what happens when we're resisting the situation, wishing it were different? We're consequently doubting our power to live our lives the way we want to. We're doubting we have the abilities to live it the way we want to. Ultimately, it comes down to that we're not trusting ourselves to trust the process of life. Life has its own way of going, doesn't it? We have these things that pop up, these detours. And if we don't trust that there's something within it, there's some sense of meaning and purpose in these detours, that's when we'll get stuck in the pain and we'll get stuck in feeling hopeless and powerless and not knowing or even considering the idea that we can get back to being on our path. It may be slightly different when we get back on after a detour. It could be better. You just never know. But if we can start to shift that perspective and consider the idea, just consider this idea, that the detours are in perfect order. What if they're not detours? Because when we think of a detour, we kind of put a negative connotation on it. What if it's not a detour, but a side adventure? Something that's going to help us get back to the truth of who we are, to the center of who we are. That's going to lead us to a better life than we could have possibly imagined. What if that side adventure that we think is actually getting us off track is correcting our path and getting us on a better one? What if? Something to consider there, right? I like to think of life as a labyrinth. Now, if you've never walked a labyrinth is not like a maze where you get stuck with dead ends. Sometimes people use the word maze and labyrinth interchangeably, and they are not the same. A maze is meant to trick you and get you stuck. A labyrinth has one path that twists and turns, and without fail will lead you to the center. It will take you there. There are no dead ends in a labyrinth, none, and there are no wrong turns. I'm going to check the comments for a second. Leanne, I just said the same thing to my friend. We have to trust the process. We do. And believe in ourselves. Ray, yes. Mick, for the longest time, I thought that as I got older, life would get easier. And then I realized that as I gained more experience, that the challenges life presented were proportional to the growth I was capable of. Oh, you are so profound tonight, Mick. That is so accurate and so true. That, and it is funny, we think that if we just do the right things, if we keep moving forward, as we get older, life will get easier. And in some ways, it's like we're waiting for that someday. Someday, my life is going to be perfect. Not a good way to go. And then what happens is, yes, these challenges come in because they're here to help us. So with my analogy here that I love about life being like a labyrinth, There's so many similarities here. Now, Lilydale, I'll get off for 2 seconds here. Lilydale actually has a labyrinth on the grounds. If you have not been to it, it's over by the Lyceum, between the bargain shop and the Lyceum. And it's made up of little bushes. They're short bushes so that you can walk and not feel like you're in something, claustrophobic around you. So what we do when we walk a labyrinth, the actual labyrinth, the exercise of the labyrinth, is we're using it as a journey to ourselves. It's a meditative process. And what we're doing is we're intentionally choosing to be open to receiving guidance. So before we start the walk, you'll see people, they'll stop at the entrance of the labyrinth and they'll close their eyes and they set their intention. Are they looking to receive some guidance? Are they looking to discover something, learn something, reveal something, release something, whatever it is, where you feel like you might need some guidance from spirit, your inner self, or whatever it is. And as we walk this labyrinth, we breathe, we relax, and we follow the path. We just keep following the path, moving forward, always moving forward. It's a meandering, try saying that, meandering but purposeful path where we allow our mind to be free, to bring us the information we need. And as we do this, we're heading to the center. And this walk represents our intention to learning more about the truth of who we are at our center. So doing this, and actual physically walking the labyrinth, is a meditative process. So I'm going back to the comments. Our most beneficial spiritual growth and learning comes out of our most difficult, challenging experiences. Yes, Jeremiah. That is so true, isn't it? Especially if people are willing to open their minds and consider where the learning is coming from, what the learning might be. There are other people who choose to gripe and moan about everything that's happening, and they're not learning. They're staying stuck because they are focused on the challenges and the problems that are arising from their challenges. They're focusing on them not being good enough, or they're blaming other people. But if we can shift that perspective and start to look at those problems and challenges as being essential to our self-growth, that makes all the difference. Candace, I try to believe when I experience unexpected situation that it's for a reason, even though I don't know what it is just yet. Exactly. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about that as we go. So, yes, and there's so many unexpected situations, aren't there, that we have in our lives that we just can't believe about. So life is like a labyrinth, totally like a labyrinth. When we have these unexpected turns where we feel like we're going backwards, that happens in a physical labyrinth. We'll be walking and we turn around and we're walking the other way. And it can feel like we're moving away from our center, just like life. We feel like we're moving away from what we want, from our goal, from our truth. We'll feel like this, and we'll feel like we're absolutely going in the wrong direction. But, and this is a good but, if we keep going and we follow the path will, without fail, lead us to our center. It leads us to the truth of who we really are. When we trust that our lives and its detours, these side adventures, are bringing us to the truth of who we are, then no matter how far off the path we think we are, we're not. That we are actually in divine order. We're actually where we're supposed to be. If we can trust that life is a journey, like a labyrinth, that is taking us to the truth of our inner selves, we reframe that idea that life's detours are unpleasant, and we can begin to look at them as side adventures. So rather than being in a detour, stuck over here on the side thinking, I'm in the wrong place, it's not working, I can't get where I want to go, and we get frustrated and we're struggling to move forward, what if we instead we start to look at them like, this is a little side adventure. I wonder what I might learn about this. I wonder where this is going to take me. You may not know where it's going to take you, but it's something to kind of get you out of that painful mindset that we have. Now, of course, in life, some of our detours and side adventures are truly unpleasant, and we are going to experience some emotions from them where we don't get the outcome we want, I can think back to when I was in college and I auditioned for this singing group, and I loved singing and playing the violin, and I wanted to do both. You can only do so much in life, I've learned, but I wanted to do both, and I didn't get into this singing group that I really wanted, and I was so disappointed. But now I can look back and go, you know what? It's a good thing I didn't get in that group, because it was really important important for me to learn that for my resilience. And it was also really important for me to stay on the path to become a violin teacher. Being in the vocal area may have set me on a different path, and it was essential. Now I can see this, so it takes some time there. So we still have those disappointing or painful experiences and emotions and stuff. But these side adventures are actually giving you an opportunity to trust yourself and choose to trust the process of life. Just choose to trust it. Just take that risk and get out there. Because if you start to trust it and just kind of go with it, you're learning more about yourself always, always, always. But it makes it so much easier for you to navigate your path, because everything that is happening to you in life, everything is here to help you get to the truth of who you are. Every single thing. When we were born, this is my perspective, when we were born into this lifetime, we came directly from the other side, if you will. We had so much awareness, so much knowledge, but we get here and we're babies and we cannot communicate what we know. And as time goes on, we start to learn we're supposed to live a certain way. Human conditioning, we fit in, we want to fit in and belong. So we forget all of this stuff, of course. So we've forgotten the truth of who we really are. And life is attempting and doing, planning, getting us there, getting us back to the truth of who we are. And these little side adventures are so essential for our self-growth and for our remembering again of who we are. And Mick is saying, take the scenic route. Yes, sometimes the scenic route is not pleasant. Yes, those side things are sometimes not pleasant, but there's a purpose, there's a plan here. The profound truth of life that I was telling you about, the profound truth of life, and I know somebody's going to disagree with me like in about 4 seconds here, is that there are no wrong turns. There are no wrong turns. Yes, we've all made mistakes. We've all done things we regret. We've all done things that maybe weren't the best choices. But life is life. Part of life is making mistakes. Part of life is handling our disappointments, our challenges, and doing our best to learn from them, move, and grow. It wasn't a wrong turn. It was just a side adventure to clarify something that needed to be clarified for you to get back to you and the truth of who you are. All the times you think you failed on something were just opportunities to help you get back to your truth. Candace, how do we know if these adventures are supposed to help us on our path, or if it is our lack of motivation, intention, etc.? Ooh, good question. Yes, it's supposed to help you on your path, definitely. Now, here's an interesting little side notes here, not in my plans to talk about, but great question. Sometimes as we are on our life path and our little labyrinth here, and we're going all over and we have these twists and turns, we think we're in the wrong direction. Sometimes when we start to get closer to the truth of who we are, just like if we start to get closer to experiencing success in life, we unconsciously self-sabotage ourselves. We unconsciously, it's not going to work anyway, so I'm not going to try. So we've got an excuse now as to why we're not going to succeed. And sometimes we'll use something like that as we have an excuse now as to why we're not going to find out who we are. Part of our fears, that's what I want to say. Part of our fears is that when we find out who we really are at our core, our soul level, we're going to find out we're not good enough. That's a big fear, because we all have that like circling around the edges of us, don't we? This sensation, this feeling that, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not able to have success, you're not able to change your perspective, you're not able to get the job that you trained for, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that you're unable to do this. Everyone has something around them, and so as we get going and we get closer to our truth, we start to get scared and we think, what if this is true? Really, what if it's true and I'm not good enough? I don't want to know. So I'm going to turn around and I'm going to go back to the part that I know. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to leave this labyrinth. I'm going to walk back over here and I'm going to skip this turn here. But if we can embrace the idea that everything that happens, even those times we self-sabotage, knowingly or unknowingly, those, whatever it is, if we can be aware that our lack of motivation or our fears are actually essential for us as we move forward. Because if we start to notice we have a fear, then we're learning more about ourselves. And then we can use our power and decide how we're going to address that fear. How are we going to move forward? If you can believe that there are no wrong turns, that means that everything is in divine order. Even the crappy stuff is in divine order. Again, this does not want to ever minimize the pain we have from experiences. And I will say for the 100th time, 1,000th time, you must experience your emotions before you move forward. You have to experience them. You can move forward and still be going through things. Never deny those, okay? Sometimes that's our obstacle, and our wrong turn feels like, oh, I'm so upset, I can't go on, I can't do it. When really we just have to barge right into that and go, you know what, I'm going to feel this and I'm just going to keep breathing through it. Before you know it, you've turned the corner and you're in a different place. And that's important. If you can believe there are no wrong turns. The next time you get stressed out about something, think about this. Why am I stressed out? Well, I'm going to talk about that in my free class coming up on January 17th. But you can do this and believe that anytime you failed, anytime something is in your way, it's just an opportunity to get you to your truth. If you continue walking on your life path, your labyrinth, you will get to the truth. You absolutely will get to the truth. It has to happen. Especially you guys who are aware and are trying to live your life the best you can, who are open to learning and growing, who want to be the best person you possibly can be. So we are in this consciousness shift. Everything is sped up now. You're learning your lessons faster and faster and faster. And that's why you're having more and more and more problems and challenges. You're having more and more because your inner self is saying, let's go, come on, figure this out, let's get to us. That's what's happening. So if you keep going and if you can trust that perfection of your meandering life path, then even with the side adventures, you will learn to trust yourself and accept that everything that's happening is leading you to your best self. Hi, Megan. Oh, I love reading your comments, Megan, on Facebook. How do I find the strength to trust in my path when I've had so much pain and loss to deal with in my life? I'm always bracing for the next obstacle. And Fran, and everybody else who has had profound losses in your lives. And we've all had them to varying degrees, of course. And we can feel like we have to protect ourselves from pain. We have to always be prepared for the next problem. Part of it is our brain is naturally wired to look for problems, challenges, things that are going to attack us, things that are going to ruin our lives, hurt us, whatever it is. Our brain naturally does it. It's called the negativity bias. It is a proven fact. It's been studied. Our brain does this. If you know that, that can help, okay? If you understand yourself. Now, and to understand on top of that, if you've had a traumatic experience, a huge loss, people who are healing from a big loss, it takes some time to work through all of that. And what happens is we kind of start beating ourselves up. Well, I should be thinking this way. I should be doing it that way. I can't believe it's taking me this long to get through this. Or maybe other people say something to you like that. Well, get over it already, like, hello. People will say things that are thoughtless, but will make us doubt what we're really feeling. And the strength to trust your path comes from many different things. There is always, you have this spark in you. Everyone has this spark in you of your soul, okay? It's literally your soul's light is what it is. Within that light, we have to remember the trust is always there. There's a glimmer of that trust is always inside. There's always hope inside. There's always love inside. And very profoundly here, that glimmer within you, that soul light, is connected to the light of spirit, God, the universe, okay? We are all one. We are all connected here on this side and on the other side. Everything is connected. We are all one. So lots of times when we're struggling with something, we feel alone. We feel like we have to use our power to do it, and we are using our power. But we also have to remember our power is everyone's power. Our power is the universal energy, the God power. And we are not alone. And you remember that, I can't think of the exact phrase of how this goes, but there was this poem or story that went around for years very frequently about I was so upset and asking Jesus, where were you? Why weren't you here with me? And it was the footprints in the sand. That's the one. The two footprints in the sand. And you see the two footprints going, two people's footprints going, and then all of a sudden it's one, and the human feels like they've been left alone. And then as the story goes, that's when Jesus picked them up and carried them. Whether you believe in Jesus, God, or anything like that, I think we can all agree that there is some kind of an energy, a universal energy, a divine energy, really, that encompasses everything. So we are never alone, and that power that is within us is connected to all of that. So when we've had this pain and the losses in our lives, and we feel like we're alone and we don't think we have the strength or the power to go forward, it can help to remember that we're not alone, that we are always supported and carried by other people. It's very natural for us to brace ourselves, as Fran says, for the next obstacle, especially these days, because I'm finding more and more my clients, myself, my friends, my family, it's not one problem people are dealing with. It's one problem plus this one, plus this one, plus this one. And it seems that there's a lot of stuff happening now. Remember, everything is reaching you, helping you reach your core, helping you get back to your soul's energy. So if you can kind of embrace that feeling that there are no wrong turns, that everything you're doing is leading you back to that, it kind of gives you a little bit of, in an odd way, I guess, some peace to know that, in the end, it's all going to come out okay. And I know somebody out there just said, but I lost this and this didn't happen and that didn't happen and I wanted this and I wanted that. And yes, life is full of disappointments. Life is full of pain, and sometimes it really sucks. And so if we understand that that's how life is, that does help. I never want to discount that pain you might experience. But what we can do is we can use that pain to build on it as a foundation as you move forward. I can think back to some of the pains I've had and the losses I've had and how it gave me a new perspective on compassion and empathy for others. It gave me a new sense of compassion for myself. I cut myself some slack here. If I'm going through a really tough time, then you know what? Take a break, show yourself some love and some care, and just don't do anything if that's what you need to do. And so this is something that is necessary for us. We can't go back and change the past. We can't go back and change that situation as much as we want to and as much as we wish we can. And as an aside, there are all sorts of therapeutic things you can do to help you process traumas, okay? Lots of things you can do. To get a therapist to help you with these things. But we can go back and we can look at those situations and we can learn from them. We can look at ourselves and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you got through that. I am so proud of myself for getting through that. I didn't think I was going to make it, but I did. And I'm so proud of myself for doing that. And we can look back and we can reframe our perceptions and find the blessings within. And again, I don't ever want to sound like I'm dismissing the pain that we have. And pain is something that we need to experience and allow it to come out, no matter, even if you think you're becoming a burden on other people because you want to talk about it and you need support. You've got people out there that can help you, whether it's a professional counselor or therapist or a really good friend who is supporting you in your journey. So that will help too. I've kind of digressed a little, but not totally. Brandy, is there a time when you have too many obstacles that the universe takes a break because it knows it's breaking you? Yes. And have you noticed too that our lives like ebb and flow? The problems come, the emotions come, and then they go. It's a very rare, and actually I don't know that I know anybody who has this, where it's problem, and they never, 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 never get a break. It feels to me, my understanding as of now, is that we have these problems, these situations that come up, these obstacles, and we deal with them, and then it's like we get a little bit of breathing room to kind of catch up a little bit. And that is, it's like the universe says, okay, here we go. It's going to be okay. So it's not that you'll be on your path. Everything's great. When you're in the zone and life is just flowing. We've all had that too, right? Where life is going great. We think, oh my gosh, my life is just so wonderful. I am loving this so much. And then all of a sudden we're over here someplace and we think, oh, this has been the worst year of my life. And then eventually we get back over where we feel like we're in the zone again and life starts feeling better again. So it kind of comes and it goes. It's a natural flow. Life is not static. If at any point you feel static, enjoy it. You're catching up somehow. You're kind of at a waiting spot where just enjoy what you've got going right now. Be in the present, enjoy it. Because who knows how things are going to unfold next. Could be great or could not be. We just don't know. So, when you're looking at your life and reframing some of the perceptions on things, how many people have ended a relationship, you got divorced, and then later you found that most amazing partner. And the end of a marriage is never pleasant, is it? Even if you want to get out, it's still not pleasant. But what happens is we take what we learned there and then we build a new understanding of how a marriage should work. We awaken to this new understanding of our life path, becoming more aware of what the truth is for us and what we want and need. We'll find that more suitable partner because we are living more closely aligned to the truth of who we are. We've learned and we've started to integrate some of those issues into our lives. A joy stop sign. Ooh, that's good, Georgine. The universe is not very giving to me right now at all. Yeah, and Jennifer, I can tell you that you're not alone in that. And I mean that in all ways, actually, because a lot of people are telling me this right now. Just remember that even though you're experiencing a lot of stuff going right now, you still have the support is still there. Even if it feels like it doesn't. It is still there. And of course, too, and I'm going to digress for a second from my talk slightly. Remember, because we are all experiencing a very abnormal, atypical time in our lives, collectively, as a whole, everyone is experiencing it, that some of our problems appear bigger than they really are. I'm not saying yours are not big, okay? I'm not saying anybody's are not big. But what I'm saying is sometimes we'll have a problem and it seems so much bigger than it might have felt 2 years ago. Okay, because everyone's emotions are on high alert right now. We're all just kind of waiting for the next really weird, strange thing that's going to happen because we've had so many in the past 12 months. So we're all kind of on edge. And because of that, part of our self-care is to recognize that if we do need some professional assistance, I read someplace, and I don't remember the exact figure, but it was a huge percentage of people who are really struggling mentally and emotionally right now and have started seeing a therapist or a counselor to get some more guidance because this is a crazy time. So it's okay for us to reach out to people, and so many of the therapists are working online, so you don't even have to go if you're uncomfortable because of COVID and everything. So that is something to consider as well. There's nothing wrong with getting professional help. I would think that pretty much everybody I know has been to a therapist at some point. It's amazing how life works. Now thinking, I was thinking back to the beginning when I was talking about my friend who tried to get a teaching. Oh, I should stop for a minute in case people have joined and don't know what's going on. We are talking about life's unpleasant detours, and I'm Colleen Vanderzijden, a medium here at Lilydale. Quick one. There we go. So anyway, my friend who couldn't get a teaching job, she finally gave up after a couple of years. She's like, forget it. And she ended up moving to a different state, got a teaching job there, and bonus, found a new partner. How amazing is this? If she hadn't experienced that detour, this wouldn't have happened. So really, it was a side adventure that was actually preparing herself for something better. Years ago, many years ago, I've had some episodes where I've been prone to depression, where I would get, just really down. And then I finally realized that when things weren't going well, or when I was feeling depressed or sad or something, I noticed that ebb and flow, that cycle, that I would end up being so much happier afterwards. my theory is that we have this baseline of happiness. Some people have low baseline. They're not happy very much. Other people are, way up here. So we have this baseline. And my theory that I'm working with is that when we experience these big traumas and dramas and pains and everything, that we go down, of course, below our baseline, because now that pain is making us go to our soul, our core, our essence. It's making us get there because that's who we really are. So it's making us kind of peel away some more crap from our lives. But when we come back up, we kind of go past our baseline and we can start raising the baseline. So this is what is happening. And I found that lots of times where I think, oh, forget it, this is horrible, that it actually has led me to something better, which has helped me get through some of those tougher times. Going, you know what, I'm going to feel better later, just knowing it's coming and really believing that it's going to come. That really does make a difference. Even when we're physically walking a labyrinth, doing the meditative exercise, we might not get the insights and reflections as we're doing the walking. And it's really when we reach that center, where we reach the center of the labyrinth and we pause and we open up and we allow the information to come in, where things start to get back into us. And then when we walk back out of the labyrinth, it kind of integrates. And life is the same way. When we're walking it, we may not understand what's happening as we're on that side adventure. We may not get it, okay? It can take some time to process. When I went through the infertility stuff many years ago now, I would never have realized something good would come out of it. But part of what I learned was that as I kept moving forward, even though I felt like I was stalled out and not getting anywhere, excuse me, I really felt like this is never going to work. It was one of those, really despair kind of times. But what I learned was just to keep going. And then looking back, I could integrate and recognize that I needed to trust in the divine timing of it. Things happened as they should have when they happened, eventually I adopted my son and then got pregnant with my daughter. And I can recognize, years later that I was a much better parent because of that timing. And so I could also see the value of not giving up, of just keep moving. You don't know if what you want is going to come the way you want it to come. It may not come that way. It may not be exactly what you want. It might come in a better form. It might be something totally different that you very much enjoy. If we keep moving forward to the best of our abilities, of course, no, this is never a time for self-judgment. If we keep moving forward, it's actually a sign that we are trusting. We may not believe we're trusting, and we might not really believe we're trusting ourselves or our paths. But again, there is that small glimmer of your soul in there that has that trust that can't be extinguished. It's not going to go away. And I know so many of us have experienced times of hopelessness, and I could go off on a whole other show on that, and maybe I will someday. But that glimmer doesn't disappear. Even if you think it's gone, it's not. If you take that simple action of just moving forward as best you can, that's enough to keep you in some kind of trust to get you to your truth. We get stuck in our thoughts sometimes that we're heading in the wrong direction, or that we're wasting our time, or that we've spent too much money on this idea and it's not working out because nobody likes it, or it's just not a good idea. And then we internalize it, make it about us, and we're horrible people, blah, 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 blah. And then we can't fix it. We're not smart enough to explode that obstacle or go around it or whatever. All these thoughts keep us stuck in feeling hopeless, that we're never going to get what we want. And with that, we start doubting ourselves. We doubt our path. And you can always reframe this. If you can remember, out of everything I've said, today, if you can remember, that life is like a labyrinth. There are no dead ends. There are no wrong turns. There are no wrong turns. Those detours are side adventures leading you someplace. Leading to your truth, leading you to something better. How many times, if you look back on your life, have you had something come up, an obstacle or something come up? And at the time, of course, it was horrible. And then years later, you thought, oh, I get it. I get it now. look what happened. I would never have experienced this if I hadn't experienced that. My path may have been corrected. It may have been solidified. It might have given you more clarity, exactly what you need. The more you live in your truth, the more you're trusting. It goes back and forth, and then you actually get happier. What's really a nice side benefit of believing that there are no wrong turns. Think about how much space in your mind is spent obsessing over this problem, this challenge, how you should be doing this, how you can't do that, how it's impossible because of this. Think about how much space is in your head that you spend thinking about these things. You'll free up all this space if you just accept that there's no wrong turns. What will happen if you accept this too is you'll start finding alternatives. You'll start finding alternative solutions, alternative perspectives on your problems. Where you think your road is totally blocked or totally torn up and going to be built in a whole new direction, you might actually learn something even deeper than you can possibly imagine right now. I think of some of the people I've met in the course of my workshops, teaching or attending, where people have had the most amazing traumatic experiences, where I look at them and I think, how are you even standing? And yet they radiate this sense of peace, and there's a joy about them. And in talking to them, you can tell that they've been to the depths. They've been there. They have stripped away so much of their lives that was no longer important anymore. They've gotten to what is most important to them. And it may be love. It may be relationships. It may be strengthening their spiritual connection. But they've stripped away the other stuff. And when that happens, the closer you get to living in alignment with your truth, the more pure your soul is, the more connected you are to the divine energy. And then you're in that truth where you do move into trusting that, you know what? Yep, I guess that's just the way it should be. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't want to go through it. But I'm grateful for these people who helped me. I'm grateful for the support I had. I'm glad I learned about this. This does not mean, again, for the millionth time, to dismiss the pain. And it doesn't mean that you look back at the humongous loss of your child or something and say to yourself, oh, I'm so glad that happened. No, that's not what I'm saying. It means you accept that this has happened. It sucks. You hated it. You wished it never happened. You would give up so much to go back and have that not happen. But you can't. And you understand that, and you accept it as best you can. And you say, you know what? But look at this. Look at all these people who support me. Look at all these people who love me. I feel so much stronger in my spiritual faith. And that, again, never minimizes what's happened. Okay, but we move into a different awareness. It's a very high level perspective when we can take a horrible situation and be able to go, okay, I'm just going to sit with that and get it. And as, of course, we all know, as time goes, we process it further, we integrate that new reality, the sting does lessen. It really does lessen. And then we do even further strengthen that connection. I can tell you how many times, I can't tell you how many times somebody has talked about their spiritual development. Of course, this is what I teach, spiritual development. So these are the people I'm talking to. People on the street who don't understand me might look at me like I'm insane. But there you have it. So this, if really, and I would suggest, the next time something goes wrong, anything, your debit card gets compromised, that there is no wrong turn. Okay, so it got compromised. Maybe you can change your perspective on that. So if you believe there's no wrong turns, you'll start looking for different ways to look at things. So a different perspective, that your debit card was compromised, they stopped it for you. Now you're stuck without a card for 10 days while you're waiting for your new one, which is irritating, blah, blah, blah. But maybe that protected you from somebody using your card and running up a whole bunch of debt or whatever, especially if it's your debit card, because they can get in there and get that money out pretty quick. So that can help you reframe whatever experience you're having. I'm going to look at the comments here. The energy level is so high right now, almost a spinning feeling, a race to nowhere. Oh, what a perspective that is. Yes. And I understand what you're saying, Jennifer, because we are in that consciousness shift, okay? So everything is accelerated. Everything is accelerated. The energy is higher than it used to be. It can be a bit overwhelming. Like I said, the problems are coming at us more and more and more. Here's an advantage, sort of, is that these things are coming at us, but they are resolving sooner for many people. It doesn't mean another one's not going to come and take its place, but there you have it. But the energy is really up there. Now is because of everything happening in the world. We need to really, and this is part of getting back to our truth, is to be able to ground ourselves, to get back, to have strategies, ideas, ways to settle our minds, ways to be present in the moment, to not get stuck out in the worry land, to not get stuck fixated on the thoughts that keep us spinning in our heads. So we've got to have some ideas on how to ground. Breathing, of course, walking outside. Sometimes music works really well for some people. Sometimes silence is essential. Prayer, mantras, all sorts of different ways you can ground yourself. And that can help bring that energy back down. Sometimes for those of us who are on a spiritual path, we really like when the energy gets high because then we feel high and like, whoa, this is fun. And because everything is amplified and accelerated now, we have to make sure we take some time to ground and get back to ourselves. People are finding now too that if they don't get enough sleep, you're waking up in the middle of the night more frequently than you used to because the energy is so crazy. We have to be aware of those things and just accept that's what's happening, so that we don't get stuck thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. There are so many ways you can ground yourself. Google search for people who haven't done it before. And Mick, we no longer have to feel all that guilt. Yes, yes. So if you believe this, that there are no wrong turns. So, like we feel guilty, I said this to somebody, I made this mistake over here. Sometimes we feel guilty, we wanted to get out of our marriage. Sometimes we feel guilty because we said no to somebody. Sometimes, there's lots of reasons why we feel guilty. But if it really, truly can move into there are no wrong turns. And how simple is that to remember? I mean, really, right? There are no wrong turns. And that really can settle us in so nicely. Let's see. Okay, I'm thinking. Becky, yes. It's funny about how, yes, we can enjoy the heightened energy. Yeah, and here's another, I probably could stop talking at some point here, but here's another thing to think about is with that heightened energy. We're up here, we're just going crazy up there, which is really fun. You can get a lot of information. If you wanted to stop and just kind of center a little bit and see what comes in, just stay open to the guidance. Intuition, people's intuition's taken off right now. Lots of ways to manifest happening, lots of ways to reclaim your power and shift yourself, and that's part of the reason actually that I'm doing that free class starting January 17th. Part of the reason I'm doing that is to give people some of these ideas of how to get that joy back, actual strategies, thoughts, ideas that simple ones to practice, because we are getting caught in side adventures and we're getting caught in our thoughts and our emotions and we're struggling to get out of it, So we are going to be talking about, in that free course, going to be talking about stress, why it's there, and how you can diffuse it and choose the joy instead. We're going to do that by being you, by being your courageous self. So go, if you haven't joined my spiritual growth and support group, on my Facebook page, Colleen Vanderzijden, Medium and Intuitive Life Coach, pinned right to the top. So you can go right there, click on it, request to join, and I will add you to the group. It's all you have to do to participate in this free course. You don't have to give me your email. You don't have to sign up anywhere, even though if I may have said that in the past, you don't have to. I was just talking, apparently. It will be a fun class, I think. And because it'll be Facebook Live, I'll be able to deal with your comments too. So if you have questions, you have things to do. And because it's in the group, I can actually have downloads, like handouts. You can fill papers out and things like that, because I have a couple ideas of things I want to put in there. So January 17th, 5 days in a row. I think I said 7 o'clock. You think I remember, right? Woo, but I'm in, that space land right now. So 7 o'clock, I think it is. And I will post it repeatedly. So it's all good. And you can go to my website, ColleenVanderzijden.com, psychicmediumcolleen.com. I will update my website in the next few days. I've just been overwhelmed with all the things I'm doing because you know me, too many projects at once. So I will do that as soon as I can. My assistant's going to help me out with that too. And lilydaleassembly.org, Lilly Dale Assembly Incorporated on Facebook is the official page. That's the page you want to follow. That's the page where you'll find out everything that's happening. Will the classes be posted in case we can't make a live one? Yes. So what'll happen is I will just do the classes live from that page and they will be there. I may move them into a unit, like day one, or maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll find out. But I might do that. So just in case, and I will explain it all. So, and the videos will probably go anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. The first day will be longer because I will be talking about all sorts of things. But then after that, that'll probably be a little bit shorter. And of course, the more interaction I have, the more questions I have that I see as they come up, the more I'll talk. So 30 to 60 minutes, give or take. And so they will be available. And you can still write comments afterwards and I'll still see them. So every day there will be a teaching, if you will, and some perspective shifts, because that's what I do, and then homework, and it's not going to be big heavy duty stuff. It's basically something to practice, to bring into your awareness so that you can make a change. Like if today were the class and I'm talking about there are no wrong turns, and something happens and you think to yourself, there are no wrong turns. Yes, I just, now I have a flat tire and I've got to buy 2 new tires. Oh, why is that? Well, maybe it's protecting me from this, or maybe that, or just going, yep, that's just the way it is, and not even trying to figure out a new perspective. It's just the way it is. It's all good. So that can help. Yes, so it will be fun. Okay, so I probably could stop talking. Let me see how I did on time. I've been talking a lot lately. I seem to have so much to say to you guys. It's always fun, though. I do enjoy it. I hope you guys like it, too. And you're welcome, Fran. I send you lots of love. And everyone here who is... I tell you, the people who watch my show are just about the nicest people in the world. Literally, everybody just sends love and affection and kindness to each other all the time on here. Just so much positive energy. So, Spaceland, that's me, Georgine Christine. I'm always in Spaceland. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I am thinking next week, I don't know, we'll see if this happens, but I'm thinking about talking about family estrangements next week, because I have had quite a few people talk to me about that, and I have experienced it myself a few times. So I may talk about that, we'll see. I'll see what Spirit has me have me do over the weekend, and then we'll decide. I'll let you know. So you guys have a wonderful week. Again, thank you so much for watching, and again, join my group if you haven't yet. And we will have some fun next week. Next week. We'll have a good time. Okay. See you later. Bye.